Good afternoon, YouTube, and welcome to the new JS in Louisiana. Regrettably, we have moved from the high Arctic down to the deep south of the US, and I would like to present to y'all my new Boer War kit. Now, for starters, back up here, I have on me a pair of proper attire for the year. I've got the waistcoat, proper shirt, some high brown boots. You can't see them very well. My kit is a little cool here. It's my canteen here. This is a U.S. military canteen, a British haversack. And this is what the British Army would have been carrying, for that matter, in both the First and Second Anglo-Boer War. I've got here my bandolier. Now this here is geared not for the 7mm Mauser, which I've been so beautifully and wonderfully attached to, but rather my new Martini Henry rifle in 5.77 by 450. Now, little brass cap on the end of this thing. This is an original rifle with a repro British sling on it. Now, this would have been more appropriate for, well, honestly, they're more appropriate for both First and Second Anglo-Boer War, but more particularly, this is for the first, being that this is what both British and Boer commandos were using. So, to load this thing, simply drop the breech, pull out a cartridge. I don't have any in this part right now. Insert, close it, good, and you're firing and good to go. So, that's that. We're gonna get to this one later, but first, that's that rifle. Let me show you a cool Boer pistol, since most people don't realize that the Boers carry handguns. This is a C96 Mauser. Now, to those of you who are Star Wars fanatics, this looks a lot like Han Solo's D40 blaster. Well, you'd be darn tootin' right about that. This is a 1896 C96 Mauser pistol, mounted broom handle. And I've got it in here in this nice flap holster. And this is a 10-round stripper clip fed. You take the clip, insert it right there in the little trunnion, and push all the way down until you get all 10 rounds in this thing. And give me a second here. Got to depress the charger. But this is what some Boer commandos could personally purchase, for that matter. And these were outstanding pistols. In fact, Winston Churchill, during the Boer War, carried one of these things. Now, also I'd like to point out to you a really cool piece of kit that I've recently acquired via a custom manufacturer. And that is my Stotz artillery bandolier. Now, pardon here. This is my Mauser rifle bandolier now. And this holds 12 stripper clips, and you can open these up here, and they hold individual or stripper clip cartridges. Now, originally when this came, these were connected. This was a single pocket. But from original photos and from renditions, I've seen that most Boer commandos cut them down the center to make them individuals. Now, you can get this on YouTube, sorry, not YouTube, eBay, and I'll put the link in the description down below, where you can pick these up for $75 a pop. Very good deal. And you can put any 30 caliber style rifle cartridge, centerfire rifle cartridge, from 30-06, 8mm, 7mm Mausers, anything you want. So, now, moving on. Back to my Martini here. Martini Henry, as we all know, the Martini Henry, as we all know from the classical Zulu movie, is the transitional long arm of the British Empire from the 57 caliber, 58 caliber Enfield rifled muskets and Schneiders to a falling block, breech loading single shot rifle, which fired a 45 caliber bullet. That turned out to be a fantastic rifle. Now, cool thing here is with Boers, they fought the First Anglo-Boer War with this rifle. And pretty much the Boer commandos went toe-to-toe with the British Empire, sporting these here rifles in 1880 and 1881. And with phenomenal success, put the British Empire to shame. So, with that, pardon me, with that being said though, single shot rifles by the Second Anglo-Boer War, these were not in wide-scale distribution for the British Army. However, though, ammunition was everywhere for these things. And that being said, though, say around 1902, 1901, you would find Boers who would still be sporting these, because, well, they can get ammunition for them, and it's everywhere. So this was the alternative rifle to the 7mm Mauser, as well as also the 303 Enfield. Now, the 303 Enfields from that war are few and far between, and even more so harder to find. So, that being said though, at battles like Majuba Hill in the First Anglo-Boer War, this was the rifle the Boers took with victory. Mind you, the British had the exact same rifle. Virtually identical. But tactically, the Boers were the finer marksmen. So, that being said though, again, if you look at this, I've got the only issue is the front sight's been broken off, and I have a new one that's going to be replacing that relatively soon. But I'd like all of you to take a look at this. This is the new Boer War kit for me. And again, I got these high leather boots here, my Mauser pistol, my waistcoat, again a haversack, a very, very important piece of equipment. Canteen, you can't go very far without one of these in the South Africa. Now, another fun thing also, this is a gift I received from IMA USA, is a gift from my wife, is a Zulu water bottle. And this comes from IMA USA, and it's a glass bottle inside of a shrunken leather container with a cork. And I use this as my rum flask, but this would have been appropriate for a Boer to be carrying via the tensions between the Boers and the Zulus, for that matter. So this would have been a nice piece of African kit to have with you. Fill it up with some rum and you're good to go. Now, another thing also I'd like to point out to you is, if you see my equipment right here, I've got my bandolier on. And again, this is a 50-round bandolier, and it holds 1 round in a pocket. It's just like the 303 ones. And as you can see, I can fit my entire finger inside this thing. They're huge cartridges. If you've ever seen a 5.77 by 450 Martini round, it's a big, big bullet. It's basically a 24 gauge shotgun shell that's been tapered and necked down for the 450 cartridge. But as you see, the Boers won their independence with this here rifle. Not with any other rifle for the most part, this one in specifically. And again, I've got a standard British Army sling, which is perfectly okay, considering the fact that most Boers after the fact would pick up this and go, hey, that's a nice new rifle. I like it. Now, this one right here is actually not a British Army issue. This is actually a civilian-made one, made by Thomas Turner of Fisher Street in Birmingham, England. If you can look here on the receiver, you can see that right there. And it's marked number 290. And again, the rifling's good, the action's good, nice and crisp. But it's possibly suggested that this could have been a privately carried rifle, or privately purchased rifle, excuse me, carried by a British officer, for that matter, or somebody along those lines that wanted a civilian-made military rifle. But it's virtually no different than any other British Army rifle. In fact, if you look at there's some proof marks right here on the side of the barrel. Those are Crown and Victoria's, BV, and so on and so forth. There's another one right here, also on the block. And to take this thing apart and put it back together is a complete pain in the ass. So, I don't recommend it, but if you do, again, you can look it up, and it's not that hard to find on YouTube. But again, all of y'all who are fans of my channel, I'd like to personally thank you all for supporting me in Alaska for as long as you have. And let's start this again down here in the deep south of Louisiana. So, everybody, stay frosty and keep your powder dry. Have a good day.